We got 6 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Stand with me for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Remain standing, please, for our invocation. Mr. Hughes. Thank you. Almighty God and gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity that we can gather to meet. Father, we thank you that we live in a place of democracy, and Lord, we're so grateful for that. Father, I pray, God, tonight that you give wisdom to everyone that's here, but Lord, especially to our council and also to our mayor, that God, that you would be glorified in all that's said, all that takes place. Lord, we thank you so much for living in a place, Lord, that really cares about its citizens. Now, Lord, take this day, take this evening, use it for your glory. For it's in the most powerful name of Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you, sir. We've got a council chamber full tonight, and I really do appreciate everybody that came out for whatever reason. For everybody that's tuned in on the internet to watch our meeting, welcome and thanks again. We'll get right on it. Council staff, you see the announcements before you. Are there any changes, additions, or corrections that you'd like to make to announcements? Nope. Okay, we'll accept the announcements as they are. First thing is our public comment section. And public comment, this agenda item is included to allow input to the City Council from any citizen who wishes to address the council without requesting to be on the agenda. Those who wish to address City Council are required to provide their name, address, including city, county of residence, and topic. Speakers shall be courteous in their language and presentation. Any disruption of the meeting, insults, personal attacks, accusations, profanity, vulgar language, inappropriate gestures, or other inappropriate behavior will not be tolerated. If this occurs, the person will be identified and asked to stop or leave. If the behavior continues and they refuse to leave, they will be removed from the council chambers. A speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. The number of speakers on a topic relating to further advertised public hearing matters may be limited at council's discretion. Council reserves the right to request a designated spokesperson. For a large group, the spokesperson will be allowed 6 minutes. The public session will be limited to 30 minutes, and the council will only listen and not respond, but may decide to place a topic on future agenda. So I'll open up public comment at this time, and nobody signed up. We'll close that section. Thank you. Okay, council, any adjustments to the agenda? Council have any adjustments to the agenda? I think we do have one for number 3, employee of the quarter, Holden McCraw was not going to be able to be here, so we'll take that off of the agenda. Any other things need to be done to the agenda? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as adjusted.
So moved. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Thank you, council. All right, that was consent agenda is next on. Consent agenda is the first order of business. These items are listed, are believed to be non-controversial and are administrative in nature. These will be on no separate discussion of the items unless a council requests or a citizen's request and is granted to permission to speak. The items will then be removed from the consent agenda and considered individually. Otherwise, all items will be enacted with one motions. So is there anything council would like to pull off the consent agenda to discuss separately? Okay, so I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Thank you, council. So we are now on to item number 2, which is introduction of new employees. And we've got a new officer that's going to be serving our city. And I'll let the chief introduce him.
This is Nicholas Ewell. He got to see how he acted in BLET, so that's the advantage of teaching over there. Performed very well. He stood out amongst the other trainees, but did a very good job. He has prior military service, so we're glad to have him. And at this point, he's filled our last vacancy at this point in time.
Fantastic. Mr. Yule, you have anything you'd like to say?
I'm just glad to be a part of the team here in King. Feel blessed to have the opportunity and nice to meet each one.
I feel blessed too. He went to our church as a young man.
I did.
His father is Jimmy Yule, as some of you may know, from around the city. And so I saw him as a young man and just see him grow up. And we're proud of you. Thank you for choosing to be a part of our city. So thank you so much.
We're glad to have you.
Yeah, welcome aboard.
Okay, we're moving right along. We're on number 4, which is rezoning request for R-186 by M.J. Simser. I think, John, you've got this?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Grace?
This is a request to rezone R-186. This request is being made by MJ Simser Corporation to rezone 2 parcels containing approximately 44.77 acres from light industrial to R-15 residential medium density for the purpose of residential growth. The property is located from the 200 block of Moore Road east to the 800 block of East King Street. The tract is labeled as G2 controlled growth and G3 mixed use on our comp plan. G2 allows for single family, multifamily, and mixed use. G3 allows for neighborhood and mixed use, and this is found to be consistent with the city's 2035 comprehensive land use plan. Some discussion and analysis. This would be a general use rezoning request to allow for future residential growth. The planning board reviewed this request on February 24th, 2025, and voted unanimously 4-0 to recommend that the city council does not approve this rezoning request. I have a letter from a citizen that I read at the planning board meeting that I'll read to you tonight. Says, John, I have received a public hearing notice for the land on Moore Road. As the landowner of the 24 acres to the west with road frontage on Moore Road, I am concerned that rezoning this land from light industrial to residential has the potential of suppressing the value of my adjacent land, which is zoned light industrial. Furthermore, it is my understanding that if the land is rezoned to residential, I would be required to install a 20-foot buffer zone on my land once it is developed because of the different zoning classifications. Based on these 2 criteria, I would not be in favor of rezoning this land to residential at this time. Additionally, I'm not sure it is in the best interest of the city, as the tax base is likely to be higher in the future by keeping the zoning light industrial. And then I had some comments during the planning board. We actually had a couple people attend to voice their opinions, which is unusual for the planning board. We had one of the citizens state the density is too high for King's growth, and he would like to see a lower density growth and no more growth until more traffic studies are completed. We had another citizen voice similar concerns to slow down the growth of the city until new traffic studies are completed. We had a third citizen that voiced the same concerns. And you had one of the things that the planning board brought up was that the G3, which is the neighborhood and mixed use that it sits in, has an emphasis on building character, and they believe it would be aesthetically detracting from the area to go with the same cookie cutter standard homes that are being built in R15 right now. I do know that MJ Simser says that his homes are going to be to a higher standard than the ones that are being currently built. But those were some of the comments from the planning board and from citizens of King.
I'll open this up for public comment, and I have, one person signed up, Barry, can't really pronounce that last name. Alberby, okay, thank you, Barry.
We don't need the house that's built there. We can't take care of the traffic that we got on the road now. Can't even get out of the driveway up and down the road there. In my understanding, they don't have a right of way out to the property. It's owned by Miss Moore, and she hasn't given them a right of way.
Okay.
And I don't think we need it, because we got more traffic and we know what to do with it in King right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you. Nobody else signed up for public comment. We'll close that section, and then I'll open it up for council's questions or whatever. Mr. Grace?
Question.
Yes, sir.
I'm just noticing as I look at the agenda, it's 44.77 acres, but mentions 2 tracks. But then when I look at the attached page there, it mentions 39.25. Is that just one of the 2 tracks? Is
Correct.
that what that is? Okay. Just want to make
Yeah.
sure. Okay.
So if you look at the map, the blue line is one track, and the green is the smaller track.
Okay. I got you. That makes sense.
I have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I just want to say that I am concerned about our traffic situation in our city. We have asked for a citywide traffic study. I would like for that to be completed before we continue to approve any other potential traffic in the area. I mean, we still have the White Road development that's being developed and is 270-some residents. And then we have Kings Crossing, that's gonna be I'm not sure exactly how many residents, but 170 around that. And so I would like for us to postpone this at least, or maybe I just don't want to approve it at this point, because we need our traffic study done before we approve it.
Anybody else?
So I agree with what Jane is saying, and have we talked to DOT about a traffic study we have, yeah.
Yeah.
So, because I knew that Jane had mentioned that in a meeting maybe in November or December, and, so until we know what DOT is willing to help us, because we don't own all the roads, but what they're willing to do to help us alleviate, the traffic and what we can do, then I'm not for doing anything any different until we have that. I mean, we need that, we owe that to our citizens, and, to have a plan, and right now, I don't feel like we do. And y'all can correct me if I'm wrong.
On this topic, I mean, if I read the plans correctly, there are 70 homes being proposed there. And, you know, really, the one thing that we all know about land is they're not making any more of it these days, right? We have what we have. And with that land currently being zoned light industrial, that is something that we need right now. We need industry. I chair the Economic Development Committee, and that is something that we talk about. How do we bring industry to our city? How do we bring jobs here that will support the growth of our city? That's not just cookie cutter homes going up, right? We want jobs coming here. We want prosperity coming to our city. And I really personally would just prefer that land to stay light industrial for possible industrial growth, maybe medical growth. That's already a great medical area there with offices going, and with discussions going on between our county and Novant right now, we really don't know what could happen.
Right.
But my long-term vision, I would love to see industrial growth or medical growth there. So that would be my preference for sure there. And also, the traffic concerns everyone else has mentioned, I think that's something that we all hear our citizens saying is traffic is a problem, and I think that we all agree with that. So personally, I would just like to see it stay what it is right now and allow for future industrial or medical growth.
I did notice the green part that you said that was separate. Right in between that, that's a mobile home park right now, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Johnson's. Do they have access out to Old 52 right there as far as ingress, egress?
Old 52, I believe just that trailer park does, or the manufactured home park does. I'm not 100% certain, but I don't see how else you would be able to get in because they're landlocked if they don't.
Okay. Down on the other end, now it goes across Moore Road, so they would have access down there, correct?
Yes, sir, that's their egress point. They're proposing is on Moore Road. They're not proposing any other, they just have one ingress egress point, which is off of Moore.
And I think our ruling is anything over 100 homes now has to have two means.
Yeah, this doesn't trigger having to have two.
Okay. I also am concerned about it being homes because right beside of it up here, like Councilman Lane said, we do have a lot of medical coming down through there. I'd love to see a hospital be in King, and that would be a prime location for it. But that's just my opinion and for what it's worth. So at this point, council, if there's no other comments,
I'll be glad to make a motion.
yes, ma'am.
That we leave the zoning as is and not pursue further rezoning of this property.
So you move to deny.
I'd like to second that.
Okay. Councilman Lane. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Well, are we voting against or for?
We're voting to deny
Deny.
Okay, so we're voting in favor of denying.
in favor of
Okay, I want to
deny.
make sure, yeah. All right, yes.
So you still want to second it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Thank you, council. Moving right along, we're on number 5, which is public hearing on text amendment to King City Ordinances, Chapter 23, sidewalks and other public places. I think, Mr. Grace, you probably got this one too.
I do. This is a text amendment request to chapter 23-6. So this went before the planning board, and some background on this. Due to the current growth being experienced in our downtown business district, the city may need to modify our ordinance to allow for more use, including tables and chairs on the sidewalks. This discussion must include maintaining ADA right-of-ways, traffic consideration, and accessibility. The planning board reviewed this topic and provided guidance. And the planning board also recommended that no changes to the text of chapter 23-6 be made. So, the planning board's comments on the sidewalk, text amendment. So what we did was, we sat down and we went through everything, and they basically spitballed ideas to provide to you on what would need to be considered in order to make this happen to go downtown, which I know you wanted this to be like Winston-Salem, so General Statutes 136-27.4A, subsection 1, furnishings must be a minimum of 6 foot from any travel lane on NCDOT street or highway. So it would basically rule out using anything that bordered South Main Street. So it'd be only allowed on Dalton Road if it was something that you want to move forward with. Then you got questions about the tables and chairs. Are they for sidewalk dining and restaurant use only? Who would own them? Would this need to be permitted through the inspections or the city clerk? Would the city business owners need additional insurance for claims to property and bodily injury? I know the business owners definitely would, but what about the city? Because it's technically our property. Must these be associated with any operating establishments, the restaurants that are there? What limits would need to be imposed on capacity for this? How many can they have? If so, then you run into, it's a more dangerous situation, obviously, if people are drinking outside. We had somebody question allowing mobile food carts at this point. I don't understand why, but it came up. Who would be responsible for the cost of additional trash bins, and who is responsible for emptying them or the associated cost with them? Would smoking be allowed at the tables since they're outside? And would these tables and chairs be permanent or brought somewhere each night? Which is a real concern, because if they're not anchored or bolted down, somebody's probably gonna steal them. Or throw them in the pool that doesn't exist anymore. The King Fire Department, brought up Fire Code 1028.5 that states a public way must have a 10-foot wide and 10-foot high clear path. And the definition of public way, a street, alley, or other parcel of land open to the outside air leading to a street that has been deeded, dedicated, or otherwise permanently appropriated to the public for public use, and which has a clear width and height of not less than 10 feet. So we may run into issues with fire code on that. I know other cities do it, I don't know how they get around it. Maybe they don't care about the fire code, I don't know. But, so, that's considerations that we came up with at the planning board.
Okay.
And I would say it was all the planning board, I didn't come up with any of it.
I'll open this up for public comment at this time, and nobody signed up. I will close that section for public comment, and then I'll open it up floor for council's suggestions. Start with
yeah.
you, Mr. Lane.
I think the initial heart of this was Winston-Salem has something called sidewalk cafes. They have ordinances for that. And essentially, restaurants or business owners downtown would have to have a plan approved through the planning department. They would have to have insurance and a permit all to make those things happen. So I would really, what I would really like to see potentially is us to measure and understand the widths, the depths of our sidewalks there to see what would be feasible, and then maybe to come back to this with a more direct comparison of what their sidewalk cafe ordinances look like to see what we can do, you know. I mean, I would think, I'm very publicly, where I am on alcohol is very public, but I mean, I think that, an extension of a restaurant onto the street, I think is pretty clear on that. What can happen inside can happen outside, as long as it fits that ordinance. So, I think that's pretty clear in that area.
I feel the same. We need to get the measurements and those things, so I would be in favor of not acting on this now and letting them get more information.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, I have a question. Will we need to have social districting before we can provide alcoholic beverages outside on the sidewalks? I'm not
There's, you have an on-premise permit, that will cover the property.
on print, but how, outside will it?
It will, but it won't cover state property, right-of-way property and that. Unless it's changed from last time I looked at it, but an on-premise will allow it anywhere on that premise.
So that they own,
Sidewalk?
how far do they own? Do they own the sidewalk?
Or they own, that alcohol will be allowed, I don't know.
How far that, do they, I don't know.
The city owns the sidewalk. When the sidewalks are owned by the city, then that's not part of that premise.
Did we have a comment over here, city manager?
For the majority of that downtown, the sidewalks are city property. That's why we did them, gosh, I don't know what year that was.
Excuse me. Y'all might want to listen to what he's saying here.
We redid those, I don't know, 10, 12, 15, I lose track of time. Remember when? Gosh, Rick, you remember when it was? 15 years ago, we redid all the downtown sidewalks, and we approved them all the way up to improved them all the way up to the building. But we might have to look at the deeds and see exactly where the property lines are. They allowed us to improve the sidewalk all the way up to the building.
But what you had also,
Yeah, I mean, the last building we looked at, the deed showed that the front of the building is the property line.
okay,
Now, that's not saying that all the buildings are like that, just that one particular building.
yes, sir,
I would assume most of them follow suit.
yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem,
Thank you for that, and I think we need to look at that very strongly. Also, did I understand, John, that you said this could happen on Dalton, but it couldn't happen on Main?
That is correct. Due to,
I can tell you, Dalton is a city-maintained street, and
Uh-huh.
Maine is it's a secondary road, so it's state-maintained.
So, for instance, whatever goes into the, the Old Gentry Hardware, they could not do it. So we're gonna be kinda discriminating against.
Exactly, it would only be allowed on Dalton for General Statute 136-27.
Okay, unless we do the social districting,
Yeah, if you do the social districting, then
is it allowed?
I don't know how that would work, because we'd have to, so you can enter into an encroachment agreement with NCDOT, before you adopt a local ordinance allowing sidewalk dining, so that is the loophole to get around that, so, but we'd have to get an encroachment agreement from NCDOT to do it.
Or
What-
modify the one we currently have. We have one now for the sidewalks and the grandfathered parking that they don't typically allow on a secondary road. You know, we have the parallel and the perpendicular parking that we had an encroachment agreement to do when we did that sidewalk project.
Well, I feel like, Michael and, Terry, we have a few unanswered questions that need to be dealt with. Also, while we're on this subject, we need some, handicap places in front of the restaurants, and I hope y'all are working on that.
I think they are. Do you want to address that, Mr. Manager?
Yeah, we're working on that, trying to get everything laid out. We wanted to make sure we had a survey of that area up there first before we can proceed with anything else. Make sure we know where all the property lines are, things of that nature. Yes,
Well,
we are
that-
currently working on the,
We got 3 designed, but we wanna make sure that,
Okay.
of course, we had to wait for warm weather to do them, but
Right.
Property lines will coordinate with what we're trying to do here too as well. Okay.
So we probably will, you all will probably give us a report about that and let us know about that sometime in the near future, like June, April, May?
depends on the weather. I mean, if it's,
But I mean, for the report to say, okay, well, we think we're gonna, we can have X amount of handicap spaces here, here, here. I mean, the weather, we don't have to wait for the weather to know where they'll go, do we, or?
no.
Okay,
We-
well, that's
yeah,
what I'm,
we'll have to get, we're trying to get the survey done, and then we can get a budget cost of what we think it'll be.
so I guess I should have asked you, when do you anticipate the survey being completed? That's what,
Soon, he came back, he got real sick, the one who we
Yeah.
hired got real sick.
Okay.
And he came back last week and he's finished it up, so he's
okay,
compiling his maps.
okay.
Am I correct in we're proposing 3 handicap spaces
That's what we're hoping, yeah.
open to? Okay. Councilman Bold?
John, I've got a question for you. You mentioned a measurement, or it was, I think, 2 feet. You mentioned, what was that measurement in regards to?
If you're talking about the 6 foot, there's a 6 foot measurement, and then there was a 10-foot wide and 10-foot high clear path from fire.
There was, I thought you mentioned 2 feet
Oh,
somewhere.
2 feet, so, I allow the restaurants now to use 2 foot off the building, so they can put a small table with 2 chairs right against the building. So they're already allowed to do that. They have permission from the city to do it, because we have our sidewalk ordinance that allows things to be 2 foot outside or on the sidewalk as it stands now. So when they first moved in, they wanted tables and chairs, because they obviously brought this up. And I told them they can put, so you basically, you get a table for 2 you can have outside your restaurants, that they can put in now. But they have not done that yet.
Okay.
Just for reference, the sidewalks up there are 5 foot, they're 5 foot wide sidewalks, in most places, in
Well,
most
they
areas.
vary throughout.
Yeah, they vary throughout, but the standard average, I guess you could say, is about
And
5 foot.
that was gonna be my next question. So they've already been approved
2 feet.
2 feet,
For 2 feet, yes, sir.
and so, do we know if there's a reason why they haven't taken advantage of that yet?
I have no idea.
Just in talking to the restaurant owners down there, I think they were waiting for warmer weather to install that stuff.
Makes sense.
So it just
I
hadn't been
forgot it
warm
was
enough
30 degrees yesterday.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But the clear pathway is 10 feet, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They
My thinking is if we ever had going from City Hall, a pathway going up to Dalton, we would want to try to have it at least 10 feet if you were going up through
Not
there.
necessary. Did you have something on there? That's not,
So fire said that, the fire code, the 1028, states that a public way must be 10 foot wide, 10 foot high clear path.
Okay.
I have to look at that, but I don't
Fire
think it's necessary just
For fire.
for a walk.
Okay, Mr. Bowles,
Yeah, I've got-
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. John, so 10 foot wide, is that anything going forward? How do our current sidewalks fit into that current fire?
So the sidewalk's not 10 foot. So I don't know how do you have any interpretation on this code? So codes are crazy because they give us codes, but then we have to ask for interpretations of what they want the code to be. So they're not cut and dry by any means. It's a lot of lawyer talk, and so we call Raleigh all the time to get interpretations of the code, and a lot of times, depending on who you talk to, gives you a different interpretation. So it would be something I'll have to reach out to Raleigh and get an interpretation from them on the code. It's not helpful at all, but that's how we have to do it.
You got some look on your face?
Yeah,
You have a question?
I was gonna say, one thing on this is I appreciate the thoroughness of the planning board. I've never seen notes like this come out of the planning board before in my almost 4 years now, so guys on the planning board, thank you very much. Job well done on this one.
I agree. They brought up some things that's very important to this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker and your group. So, Mr. Bowles, you have anything?
I think you've answered all my questions.
Council, anyone else have a?
Well, I guess one of the issues I thought about too is, I don't know how, it says smoking, are they gonna be able to smoke? Well, yeah, you can smoke outside of anywhere, I would think.
I think you can't do it within so many feet of an entrance, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that true?
It's not a city ordinance.
I've never heard
Would that be was that a fire ordinance at all?
I've never heard that.
I'll look into it and see if there's anything that's
Okay,
outstanding
thank you.
somewhere on that.
This is RJR territory.
Okay, council, I'll entertain a motion.
Would it be possible to table this until we can get some of these answers that we're looking for?
If you're making that as a motion, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I'd make a motion to table this until.
Excuse me. We can't hear people. Thank you. All right, yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to table this, to give our staff and council more time to research and understand this.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of tabling this until further notice, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Thank you, council. Okay, we're moving on to number 6. This is for Habitat for Humanity water line extension. And I think, Ben, Mr. Marion, you have this one?
Mayor and council, the Habitat for Humanity has come to us with a project that they're looking at off of Tom Gordon Road, taking this parcel of land and subdividing it into 4 lots to create 4 Habitat for Humanity homes. They've asked about water, getting water services to this lot and being able to supply the 4 new properties. The issue that we run into is we have done this before in the past with Habitat on the taps. It was council's wishes, years ago, that the tap fees for any new taps for Habitat for Humanity homes would be split. We would waive the line availability fee, waive capacity fee, and then the tap fee would be in half for both water and sewer. The issue is we've never had a water line extension for Habitat for Humanity. So we're just kind of asking you guys how you would like to have staff proceed with this. We do this quite often with developers, but the developers pay for the entire thing. They pay for the water line installment, all the application and fees, and then they put it into our specs, and then once it's done, they warranty it for a year, and then they turn it over to us. This is a different scenario because, this is a kind of a donation kind of thing, I guess. And see, we wanted to see how council wanted to proceed with doing this in the future. Not necessarily with this lot. This will be our guinea pig lot, but the water line now stops at Tom Gordon, at that property on the map at the driveway there. And so we would extend the 6-inch main down to that little jut out that you're seeing on that property, and then go up there, up that easement, and then into the property. I think we got it, let's see, 6-inch water line, the 2-inch water line. The 6-inch was 500 feet, and then I'm sorry, the 6-inch was 260 feet, and the 2-inch is 500 feet. What staff propose is that we let Habitat for Humanity pay for the materials, and then we would do the installation at no cost. With that, I'll turn it over. I've got Mindy, Alexandria, and Tyler Van Meter here from Habitat for Humanity, and they can tell you more about the project. That's from the city staff aspect of the water line. That's kind of where we're at, so.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question for.
Yes, ma'am.
For Ben.
Yes, ma'am.
So Ben, how much, I mean, I see numbers on this thing, but I can't, how much, are we talking about having Habitat pay? How much would it cost?
So I figured you were going to ask that. So I had Chuck pull me some numbers. Total, you're talking about 15 grand.
$15,000?
That's Habitat.
That's what they would call, that's what it would be for the materials, is $15,000.
And how much would our part be?
We would basically put that in for free. We would actually go out there and dig it, install everything. That's the cost of a 2-inch line, 6-inch line, and a fire hydrant, because it will need a fire hydrant out there as well. Yeah, water's not cheap. And that's just the materials, and that's them basically buying the materials from us, because we get a little bit better discount because we buy so much in bulk. So they would pay for the materials, we would pay for the labor to install, plus all the application and fees and things of that nature. We'd have to do an application for the DEQ, for NCDEQ, and have it approved by them, and that has to be signed and stamped and all that fun stuff by a certified professional engineer.
So it would be in-kind services for us?
Yes.
Okay.
We would get, once the line is installed, I think they're proposing 4 lots, we would get the tap fees off of that. 4 tap fees for water, and the tap fee's $2,200, we would get $1,100 per one, which comes out to $4,400.
What is the address of this property?
I don't know what the address is to that property.
The address that we purchased is 1085 Palm Garden, and then the property behind it doesn't have an address.
That's what I was gonna say. The property I don't think has an address yet.
So we would have to give it an address once it's,
They will, yeah.
once
They will
it's
give it an
determined.
address. Yeah.
Okay.
We can't run the meters off of Tom Gordon Road. We can't set 4 meters at the end of Tom Gordon Road and run them all the way back to the property, because that creates a lot of confusion, a lot of water lines crossing over property lines. If it leaks on somebody else's property, who's responsible for it? It just gets really complicated. That's why we are requesting them to extend the main down, so that meter goes with this house, and we know that from here to the end of time. Excuse me.
Council Bowles, you have any questions?
Approximately how long do you think this project will take our guys installing?
Depending on the weather and leaks and other things, a week at the most.
Time materials are here on site,
right.
you know.
All right.
So it's so much because you've got to do the DEQ application and all?
No, the DEQ application, we would eat that cost.
Okay,
Let's back up and explain to them how it would be if it was a developer doing it,
yeah.
what the total costs really are.
Yeah, so, I mean, they're gonna spend at least $15,000 to $18,000 in material, and then another $20,000 to $25,000 for installation.
Well,
If
first
it-
thing
And then they gotta hire an engineer.
If it was
First
a
thing they have to do is
developer.
hire an engineer to design it, so that'd be an expense.
Okay,
Then you have to do your application for extensions. There's a fee that goes with that. Everything has a fee. Then you would have the installation. and
They're
the
upwards of
furnish.
$50,000 to $60,000.
So it's a pretty big project.
Yeah. And this water's not cheap.
Well, you're
To do it
running-
the right
You're
way.
running 300 feet of one, and then 500 feet of another, and then you're putting in a fire hydrant, and you,
Fire hydrant right now is $4,500
for a fire hydrant.
for a fire hydrant.
It's the leg, the valve, and the T.
Yeah.
so we would be incurring all of that
That,
cost.
yeah, that's just the hydrant. That's not any valves or anything with it. So, I mean, you know.
No, they would,
They would be
that's,
paying for the material.
yeah, that's included in the materials
Yeah.
of
Yes,
50,000.
yes.
It's about
So have you-
$6,500 for a whole assembly.
Yeah,
What, how many?
$6,500 for a whole fire hydrant assembly.
Oh.
Gate valve, leg.
So, so you've talked to them about this already, and they
Yes.
kinda know?
Yes, and honestly, it's cheaper than drilling a well. I mean, because if there's 4 lots there, $10,000 a well, that's $40,000. You know, at least
The
here.
only reason we're pursuing that is because our ordinance says if you're within so many feet.
Yep. So,
You know.
the ordinance 2994 says that if we're within 300 foot of a water line, they have to tie to city water unless the city gives them permission to go seek other alternative sources. This is within 300 foot of that water line.
Councilman Lane, you have any comment?
I don't think so. I mean, I definitely think it's good to help the cause here for sure.
My personal opinion, I think we should help them all we can.
Yeah.
I mean, they build homes and the people have to have sweat equity in there and they're helping build houses and of course, I know Habitat does a fantastic job here in the city and countywide.
And this gives us a good starting point so that if this comes up in the future, we know we can go back and reference to this and say, hey, this is what council would like to do. They will split the cost with you, material and
And I know, personally, I know some people that have donated land or Habitat houses, so.
And like I said, that's just our recommendation. You guys can
This
change
came
that.
from how we normally handle any
Right.
type of stormwater project that we do. That's where we got this from.
Mhm. You
We
could,
typically will install it if the homeowner purchases the pipe.
Yeah.
And that's a common thing, assistance.
Council, any questions?
I think just one more question, from me. The water, the bill, that will be paid by the homeowner, whoever that ends up being, correct?
yes, yes.
Okay.
Yep. When they put the pipe in, they'll probably go ahead and set the taps then, and then Habitat would pay for those taps. Once they sell the home, the homeowner would come and put the water meter in their name, basically.
And you'll
That'd
have
be a
4
beautiful bill.
houses and you'll be getting the water from that, water bills.
I don't mean to belabor this, but Councilman Lane needs to leave, and I would recommend and suggest that we approve his excuse.
Okay. Okay, so Mayor Pro Tem makes a motion. We hear a second. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Fowler. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Carries unanimous.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine, you're fine.
Excuse, Councilman Lane. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion on this Habitat for Humanity water line extension.
I would like to make a motion. I am a big proponent of Habitat. I'm glad that we have them in our community. They do a wonderful, wonderful job for our community. And I recommend we approve the Habitat for Humanity water line extension.
Okay, second.
Second?
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Do you want to, wait, so you are approving it for us to split the cost, them pay for materials and we pay for labor?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure I understood that.
Is that
As you
agreeable with Habitat?
Works for us, thank you.
Yes,
All,
ma'am.
appreciate it.
Okay, so I've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous, 3. Thank you, council.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Habitat, for what you do for people need homes. So. This time, we're on number 7. Last month, we missed Councilwoman Fowler. Sorry you couldn't be here, but glad you're back tonight.
Thank you.
And the last month, we did updates on our different committees, and she wasn't able to be here last month, so we're going to get her to do an update on her committee that she serves on for Tourism Development Authority Board. So,
Yes. So, you all appointed me to that board, and, so let's see, April will be a year, so if any of you would like, to have the opportunity to serve on that board, just let me know, and I'll be glad to move over and let you come aboard.
You're doing a great job.
We've been meeting since April of '24. There are 7 members, and 2/3 of this committee is made up of folks that have an interest in collecting occupancy tax on vacation rentals. I never knew we had so many vacation rentals in Stokes County, but we do. And there's some really neat things throughout, cute little things throughout the county that we are collecting the occupancy tax off of. It comes in regularly, a couple, 3,000 a month. So, people are coming and staying in those places. And so, the board signed a year's contract with Magic Table Media. And that is, each month's edition, there is something in there about Stokes County, attractions about Stokes County. Tori Mabe works for the county, and he is appointed to this committee, and he takes care of all of those things. Destination Magazine is another one that we bought some ads in there. We also, there's a firm, a marketing firm called Sherpa, and we have contracted with them for a content creator to come to Stokes County and experience some of the things that we have, some of the attractions that we have, and then they'll take photos and videos and write up about that. And so one that they did recently was very good. Tori also recently was able to spotlight 4 areas in Stokes County in the Our State magazine that just came out, and so that was really neat. So there's 4 different places in there. We had a board retreat a month or so ago, and Chris Kavanaugh came and talked to us about the money and so we don't have enough fund balance built up right now, but later, like a third of the money, we can offer grants and other things to different people in the county for tourism, for attracting people. And so, but he told us we should wait and the second year do something like that. So we meet the first, I don't know, I think it's the first Wednesday of each month at 10 o'clock, and those meetings are usually in the Ronald Reagan building. And they're open to the public, so if anybody wanted to attend, then they would be able to do that. So that's, you have any questions for me?
So that includes all the Airbnbs and different things like that.
The hotel here in King and
Be
all
nice to
this.
have another hotel, wouldn't it?
Oh, yes, it would be,
That would really-
because they really do each month contribute a good part of money to that. So, yeah, it would be.
What percentage does the city get?
It's all going into this TDA
Oh, really? We don't get any?
budget. No, you don't. We don't.
Probably not for now. Mostly will go for advertising to try to bring,
People here to
From
get
my
them in
understanding.
these VRBOs and all these other places. They want them to come and stay overnight.
thank you, that's a great report. I think we're unanimous that we like her staying on that board. You do a great job. Thank you, Ms. Fowler, for that report.
I'm the only one on there that doesn't have a rental property that people, come, It's a little bit different, so you all might want to have that experience.
Thank you, but.
We appreciate your experience. Thank you so much.
Yes.
All right, council, we have our departmental reports at this time. And maybe all of you have had a chance to look over that. Does the council have any questions or concerns about the departmental reports that they would like to address?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
On the net collections report, is this
What page
the,
are you on?
oh, I'm sorry, it's page 1 of 2,
Okay,
under the financial reporting,
okay.
this. I'm not, this says interest, tax, and vehicle fee, and I was looking at unpaid balance. Do we normally run that much as, for unpaid balances?
For the,
12,000?
yes, because this is July through January. So we've collected 319,000 of the 332, so
So
that's
will
pretty
we
good.
collect that by the end of the year?
We'll collect some of it. We won't get all of it, but we'll collect it.
We're
this year.
about a 98% collection rate, right?
Normally for the.
So some of
entire
that
year.
should come in.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's all I had.
Okay. Councilman Bowles, do you have any questions, department report?
I don't believe so.
No.
I've got one question, I guess from the police department. We get this detailed, each month of activity logs. When I was looking on here, security checks, and I see on here, security check for business for last month, we had 290. This is on page 55 if you'd like. But then, also security checks residents, we had 887 security checks for residents. I look back last month, businesses, we had 410, and security checks residents, we had 1,168 security checks for residents. I was just wondering how that accumulates. Is that ride by? Is that like if you?
That's going into the individual housing developments and riding through. That is, a total of, people calling in saying, hey, I'm gonna be on vacation this week. Can you check our house? It could be, a call came in and said, hey, there's something weird going on near my house. Can you keep a check? That's considered a residential check. So that is, you're gonna probably have more residential just for that fact. We get calls all the time saying, hey, there was a car came down my driveway last week and I don't know who it was. Can you keep a check? Well, that's, every time we go there to check, that's one log that we put in as a security check at a resident.
I was just wondering, because, the development I live in, it's 114 houses. I just wondered, well, if they ride through my neighborhood, do they count it as 114 resident checks?
No, that's just a ride through, maybe stopping and talking a minute, that's one check, one total check for that development. But, the officers don't know that the other officer did one, so they might turn right around 30 minutes later and be riding through there, and that's another check. That's
Yeah.
a residential check.
I know I had a check in my neighborhood and ended up, I talked to 4 different officers, because they're doing a good job though.
They are.
And also, I was wondering if we had ever considered, I know we did at one time in the city, had bicycle patrol. I don't know if any of the officers would be interested in electric bicycles. Those things are really something now. We could, it'd be a lot cheaper than a car.
They'll still have to have a vehicle though, in case of bad weather.
Yeah, have to have a backup.
Oh, gosh, I feel like
You know,
that would be dangerous, because
we-
people don't
A
pay
lot of them
attention.
do.
In controlled area, like when you had something that downtown was controlled, or a 5K, we utilize that.
Yeah.
But we've not had any officers that are volunteered, or push that issue back there.
I can't blame them.
Well, I was thinking about riding bicycle, but I'm thinking about these new electric bicycles. I was up town the other day and one went past me in my car on an electric bicycle. It's like, wow. Phew. Okay. But that's all I have, so, all right, council, I'll entertain a motion to acknowledge receipts of departmental reports.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimous. Thank you, council. Thank you all departments. I appreciate the good job you do there. All right, items of general concern. We'll start off with Councilman Bowles here, it looks like.
I have none this evening.
Excuse me?
I have none this evening.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mayor Pro Tem.
I think I've already expressed my concerns.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. We'll skip over Mr. Lane. Mrs. Fowler.
Yes. I would like to, first I'll say that I appreciate the information that you sent, Scott, about the mayor's privilege to remove something from the agenda. That was very thorough. I appreciate the way you always dive into things and give us a lot of the reason why, and so I appreciate that. And, but I had asked for the personnel policy to be on the agenda for this meeting, and I thought it was gonna be, and then the mayor had removed it. And so I'm asking for that to be put on the agenda for the next meeting, for us to talk about that, because whenever I had spoke to you about it, we weren't sure where we had left it. And I feel like that sometimes, you know, we only meet once a month, and we talk about something's gonna come up again, we're gonna bring it up, but then it doesn't come back, and sometimes until someone asks a question, and it's like, okay, well, we didn't get finished with that, or we didn't address it. And so it's like when this, sidewalk thing, you know, came up, and John's gonna get more information. I just like to know when are we gonna do this? Is it gonna be at the next meeting? Because also, like tonight, I thought that we would have on the agenda, the property off of Gulf Road. I thought that was gonna be on there. I thought we had continued it to this meeting, so, and I don't think I'm the only council member that thought that. And so, because, you know, I did speak to at least one other, if not two other people about that. And so I would just like to see us, because we only meet once a month, you know, kind of tighten up. And if it's something that's gonna come back, it needs to come back the next time, or if we need more time. I just would like to see us have an ending time to that, to when something's gonna come back up. So that we don't forget it, because this personnel policy thing, I appreciated the email that you sent about that, and you did research to find out how we had left it. But I would like for us to talk about that again, and then also, I should have said something earlier about, okay, well, John, when are you gonna get back to us? I don't know if it's, you know, I know you're the city manager and you're responsible for all the things, but if you have a process, if it's the department head that needs to bring it back up, or, you know, those kinds of things. But I would just like to see us not wait so long to talk about something, and for us to be a little more swift in addressing the things, so.
The Gulf Road project, they haven't completed the task you gave them last meeting, so
Okay.
there wouldn't have been anything to discuss.
Okay, so we're waiting for them to get their things back
They
to
haven't
us.
completed the task you gave them last time.
Okay,
John's got a statement there.
Mayor, council, so their environmental study is complete, and I'm sending it to you tomorrow. I didn't send it to you this afternoon because of the council meeting. So I'm sending it to you tomorrow so you can review it, and then when we come back in April, you'll have all the questions out of the way already.
Okay, let me
So-
rephrase. When we made the agenda, they had not completed the task. They'll let me complete it today.
yeah,
So that way, we can get all the questions answered, and we can roll right through.
so it should
next
be on the
meeting.
next.
It will be on the next.
Okay,
Both of those will be, by the way.
Okay.
Sidewalk and,
Will they have the traffic study done by then?
I've already sent you that.
Gulf Road?
the,
I sent you their traffic.
Excuse me, I don't think it's very complete, because I don't think they're taking into consideration the ball games they have down there on Gulf, you know, going to West Stokes.
Well, they won't. When you ask for a traffic impact study, that's only for that particular site.
Okay,
It's only site-specific.
okay.
They won't have anything to do unless that facility has ball game. I mean, it won't. It's only for that site.
Yeah, but what I was looking at, 40-some apartments, you're looking at 80-some cars, and then every time they have a ball game, football, basketball, tennis, anything going on at the high school, day and night, and then they're pulling out on Gulf Road, and I'm sorry, I
well, it's not
stepped
only at the
over.
high school, you know, because, Chestnut Grove comes through there, Mount Olive comes through there, so, yeah, it's not
There's
just
gonna be a lot of
that.
traffic there for that apartment to be dumping it on that road.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in a bad curve too, so I'm sorry I spoke
No, that's
over
okay,
you.
so,
Well-
go ahead.
Excuse me,
No, go
when
ahead.
I asked for that traffic study and the environmental impact statement or study for that area, I really wanted it for the area. I think we should have the study that includes the traffic on Gulf Road. I don't know exactly what they did. I looked at that traffic study, and it appeared to me that some of the data was not current data. That's all I got to say.
And the only other thing that I had was, when we talk about, when it's budget time or whatever, and we talk about that, I would like to, for you to have talk to us about a plan of what the vacant PD building could be used for. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So it's up to me now. First off, I'd like to thank the police department for inviting us to their awards luncheon. I thought that was fantastic. Got a great group of guys there working for you, and I got around to speak to a lot of them, and just a great bunch of people. Also, snow removal. Ricky, y'all's guys did a great job on that. I actually went out and took pictures of them down there. They put salt out 2 different times, out all night doing that. I had a question on the Veterans Memorial pavers. How are we standing on those?
Yes, sir. So I'm waiting for the proofs to come back. As soon as the proofs come back, then we can have them, they'll make them and ship them here. So they're set to be in before summer. I want them in by Memorial Day. So that's the day we're shooting for.
So you're waiting for proofs? It's been a long time.
It has, and so when I sent them all the names and stuff like that, I told them when our date was, so they just pushed it back. So, but I've emailed them and told them that when we want to have them in, so I should have the proofs. I was
Maybe-
expecting to have them last
Maybe
week.
you should change that, because these people think they're gonna be there by Memorial Day. So we gotta
Yeah,
have
that's
time
the-
to put them down when they come, because
Yeah, that's the
we're putting
plan
them
to have
down,
them.
right?
So
I'm just
we can go
disappointed
there.
that you don't already have the proof back, as long as they've been gone.
I'll call them tomorrow and make sure.
Yeah, it's
I'll
not
give you
gonna
an
be
update.
good if we don't, it's not gonna be good if we don't have them.
But your goal
No.
is to have it down by
Yeah,
Memorial Day.
have them in by Memorial Day.
We
That
haven't,
is the
you haven't
goal.
seen the proof yet.
Yeah,
This is March. Time is just marching along here.
Yep.
April and then May.
I'll get them. I'll push them.
And as far as the pickleball court, we're waiting on weather for that too.
Actually, we got the contract today.
Got the contract today.
Well, no, he's already done a few things, but we actually signed the contract today. We had to modify his payment terms or whatever, but he's agreed to that, and he's actually under contract now. Even though he's come and done a few things, but he's ready to put it on his to-go list. He says, provided if the weather stays just like it is, he's gonna come on in.
Great.
Also, I've had several residents question me about when you turn on Kirby Road and then you turn on to Post Office Street, right on that corner. I think I brought that to
We
your
got a
attention.
plan for that.
Got a plan for that. Fantastic. That's what I need. All right, I think that's all I've got. Staff, do any of you have anything you'd like to bring up? All right, council, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, folks, for coming.